Okay.
All right, let's have at it.
Welcome to Inside the Cave. Today's broadcast sponsor is Hy-Vee, where there's a helpful smile in every aisle. Hy-Vee, proudly supporting the Missouri State Bears. Today's guest is Missouri State women's golf head coach Kevin Kane. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing great, Art, just muddling through like everybody else.
You and us all. So how have you managed to stay in contact with athletes during this period of time?
And we had last Friday, we did this Zoom. I wish I had stock in Zoom right now, but we had a Zoom meeting last Friday. We have a group me message. We've been doing that a lot on the phone. The last time we were together, we didn't know our season was over. It was a Thursday before spring break.
No.
And we knew our next tournament was canceled. That was the day that the NCAA called off the basketball tournament and the rest of the spring season and everything. But we had already left practice by then. And we were supposed to be going to Houston to a tournament over spring break, but then found out that that was canceled. So I just let them go for the break. And, thought it would be a few weeks when we saw him again, but when we left each other, we didn't know that was it. So we had the Zoom call the other day, and that kind of was the first time that we were all, I guess, together virtually since then.
Well, of course, its uniqueness, and golf is you can practice on your own. So from that standpoint, it's not like baseball or softball, and you need a group of people really to practice. So what are your players? And golfers are, of course, very diligent always. They love to hit balls and practice and chip and putt. So, I think with your sport, there'd still be some opportunity to practice individually.
Yeah, we're probably, like you say, better suited to be on our own. Some of my kids are places where the courses are still open. Some of them aren't. So, the ones that aren't, I know they're kind of doing their own little thing. And, I'm on Twitter and I've seen these ladder drills where people set up a step ladder in their yard or wherever, and they chip and they go through, they go up the rungs. And,
wow.
We're just trying to find some fun things. I don't want to bombard them with things because they still do have class, but, just suggestions and things that they can do where they don't have to be on a course. And of course, the ones that are, I just want them to get out and play as much as they can.
Well, and in golf and a lot of sports, there's video coaching that can be done as far as evaluating your own swing and you evaluating their swing and somebody else at different elements of that. So see, you got that going for you where, 10, 15 years ago you wouldn't.
Well, and most of them have their swing coach at home anyway.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of the one that, I'm kind of the director, the one that kind of brings everything together, but, on a day-to-day basis, but most of them have their swing coach at home. So, from that standpoint, with them as well as they ever have.
Today's sponsor is Hy-Vee. We also want to thank Pinnacle Sign Group, the official signage provider of the Missouri State Bears. So, Kevin, how was the season going before the interruption occurred?
As you know, we have a split season, fall and spring. Fall went well. We didn't win any tournaments, but we finished second in a couple and had some other good. Honestly, the spring, we had not gotten off to a good start at all. We played 2 tournaments and not played very well. And, we were looking to change the momentum and get things turned around. And of course, we had a lot of time to do that yet. And the Valley tournament, would have been in a couple of weeks. We'd be playing 36 holes in St. Louis today. So, hopefully we could have got it turned around. But, I told my kids, I said, don't look at it as like a lost season. Look at it like a mulligan, because with the eligibility thing, they're all getting a year of eligibility back. And us, unlike other spring sports like baseball and softball, where the fall is kind of exhibition stuff that doesn't really count, what we do in the fall counts. I mean, it counts just as much as the spring. The only difference between the two seasons is we have our conference championship in the spring. So we really played, maybe 2/3 to 3/4 of our season already. So I told them, look at it like you got a mulligan and you got to practice and develop and grow, get better for 2/3 of a season, and it's not costing you anything eligibility wise. So, while nobody wanted this to happen, I think we're better suited or in a better position to, I don't know what the word is, recover or, deal with it than a lot of different sports.
Today's broadcast is being brought to you by Hy-Vee, and a special thank you as well to Highland Dairy, the official milk provider of Missouri State University. Visiting with the women's golf coach, Kevin Kane. So, Kevin, you talked about the year of eligibility being sport athletes. What's your situation in terms of seniors, and do you expect everybody to come back?
Well, actually, I'm in a really good spot that way, too. I guess you could call it we're bottom heavy right now. Most of my players, most team is freshmen and sophomores. And most of my players that play in the tournaments, the better ones are that. I have one senior. Last I talked to her, she hadn't decided whether she was coming back or not. One of which, I know Bridget is, she'd play for 10 years if she had that much eligibility. And all the other ones, they're raring to go. I mean, I'm in a good spot. I mean, for being able to deal with all this, and of course, all the ramifications with the, eligibility and scholarships and being over the limit and all that kind of stuff. I have two coming in the fall, two local girls, Kayla Fitzner and Riley Hebert. And, maybe losing one, don't know yet for sure. So, I'll have a little bigger team, but, at most I'll have 11, which, I was going to have 10 anyway. So, we're happen to be in a good spot to handle it pretty well.
So, Kevin, do you know of anybody in your circle of friends or professionally in your industry in the conference who's been personally affected by the COVID virus?
No, thank goodness, and knock on wood, I do not. So I've been keeping in touch with, the coaches I want to keep in touch with, and everybody's doing good so far.
Well, how has this affected you and your family? And it's affected all of us, but how are you getting through this as far as your daily activities are concerned?
Well, it's it's not much of a choice. You got to, and you got to do what you have to do. My wife and I get along pretty well, so we haven't had any problems. And
good.
She is, I don't know whether she'd want me saying this or not, but she's immunocompromised, so she's she's not in a good position, from that standpoint. So she's staying away and staying inside as much as she can. And I have a daughter who lives in town, and she was over to the house once a couple of weeks ago and just came inside the door, and that was as far as she came. And then my other daughter's in tow. We're all doing well. I went about 3 weeks ago, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. I went up to Dubuque, Iowa to see my dad for his 90th birthday, and he's in an assisted living place. It's a nursing home, but they also have an assisted living section. And his birthday was on a Saturday. We left on Sunday, and they shut down the nursing home on Monday to any outside visitors. So I was really glad. The timing on that was good, and was really glad I was able to get up there and see him before that happened.
Thank goodness for that. Well, today's broadcast sponsor is Hy-Vee. We'd also like to thank University Plaza Hotel at the intersection of local and luxury. Discover University Plaza Hotel and Convention Center, Springfield's only premier full-service hotel located in the heart of downtown. University Plaza, where local and luxury meet. Visiting with women's golf coach Kevin Kane on this week's edition of Inside the Cave. So how much connectivity, Kevin, under these circumstances, is there within the athletic department, maybe student athletes supporting each other? I mean, people are all spread out. We do have technology such as what we're using right now, but it's important to reach out to each other and help each other, stay in communication.
Yeah, I think my kids are, from everything I can tell, my team is, they're pretty close, and I think they're keeping in close touch. And, they have some good friends in some of the other teams. I have one girl who rooms with two women's basketball players, and I know they've been in touch. So I think, I think they're doing a pretty keep in touch with them as best I can, and trying to keep them in the loop with everything that's going on. Trying not to throw them any curveballs, I guess, or make sure they don't get any curveballs. And, there's some a lot of uncertainty going on, and budget-wise and everything. But just trying to prepare them for that, but trying to keep them positive as much as we can, because this is, when we get through it, I think I'm kind of a believer that there's some positive to be taken from everything, and I think there's some positive that'll come out of this when it's over too.
Kevin, what about the effect on golf? I mean, just now this week we heard the cancellation of the British Open, and that affected then the tentative timeline for some of the other major men's sports. Women's the same. So it's obviously taking its toll on all of sports. But people are kind of with penciling in some dates in the fall, events that otherwise would have been in the spring and summer.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that, once school starts and football starts, and I'm a big baseball fan and everything. In the fall, I've never watched much golf on TV, but I'll be watching it a lot. The U.S. Open's going to be in September now. U.S. Open and Ryder Cup back-to-back weeks, and the Masters in November. And
yeah.
Then the Masters again, like 5 months later or whatever it is. So we'll have, if everything goes as planned, we'll have two majors in a row that'll both be the Masters. So that'll all be different. But it's like everything else. I mean, if it wasn't for golf reruns on the Golf Channel, there wouldn't be any sports really to watch. I mean, I guess ESPN started running some classic baseball and things like that, but you're as much of a sports junkie as anybody, and this world without sports right now isn't very fun.
It is kind of neat to go back and see some of the things from years ago. First of all,
Yeah.
the technology and the graphics and how different they were, but things that once upon a time were just commonplace, and now to go back and say, ooh, Jack Nicklaus
Yeah.
or Kerry Wood,
Yeah.
we really had some nasty stuff. That's really been interesting.
Well, and just a couple of weeks ago, I was watching. I had recorded it. I was watching. It was a half-hour thing on the hockey team, Miracle, I think it was called. And who was it? I can't remember who it was talking. Maybe it was Tirico or somebody was talking. I can't remember who they were talking to. Al Michaels anyway, and they were showing clips of the game against the Russians, and a couple of early on game against the Czechs, and then the gold medal game against the Finns, I think it was. And the graphics and just the quality of the picture and everything is crazy. I mean, you watch something now and you have so many graphics and they're so fancy, and you have
HD.
so much stuff all over the screen, everything. And this was just, it was, I really enjoyed watching that kind of stuff. And I love watching old baseball too, like, Kurt Gowdy and stuff like that. And the graphics, and, that was back when about the only baseball you got was the game of the week on NBC on Saturday afternoon.
Exactly. Kurt Gowdy and Tony Kubek and whoever was on from time to time. But back then, even TV announcers had to give the score and the count because they weren't up on the screen. It was kind of like radio.
Yeah. I love watching that stuff. I'm, all sports, but golf and baseball are my two favorites. And, it's fun to watch all that old stuff.
Well, today's fan question is courtesy of Great Southern Bank. Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters, member FDIC. Henry asks, how are you using this unforeseen time to help as a coach and as a leader?
I'm reading more. Right from the start, I really felt like it was important to be a good leader and to be somebody, because there's a lot of uncertainty going on. And I try to be this way with my team all the time. And if you've been around me much, I try to stay on an even keel and kind of try and stay steady and laid back. And I want my kids to see me like that. And, I've tried to keep them informed as much as I can. I want them to be able to know that I've got their back and that they can trust me and trust what I say. And, I probably told them things that a little ahead of time that maybe I shouldn't have. I'm probably busting myself here, but I just, I want them to know that they can count on me, and, that I'm going to look out for them as best I can, through all this.
Well, Kevin, it's been good to catch up with you and find out what's happening with women's golf. Stay safe. We'll all try to do the same, and we'll have these video chats throughout the rest of the natural school year and be back to normal, hopefully sooner rather than later, but whenever it's safe.
Well, thanks a lot, Art, and same to you and your family and everybody out there. We just, we need to do what they tell us to do, and stay inside for now, and we'll all get through this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Well, this has been Inside the Cave, presented by Hy-Vee. Helpful smile in every aisle. Hy-Vee proudly supports the Missouri State Bears. We've got 2 of these editions each week going forward, so we invite you to join us each time. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.